Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And oftentimes we talk about residual hauntings.
Yes.
The kind of haunting where an important event or memory has left an impression on a space, doomed to replay over and over again. These moments reverberate through time, and people new to the space can still feel the emotions, still see the people involved, and still sense the presence of that occurrence decades, even centuries after it's over and done with. Today's topic seems to be still reliving its past all these years later. The head of Llancaiach Fawr Manor, I'm so sorry, that's Welsh, and I don't speak anything like that, so.
You tried.
Still sits at his desk, contemplating turning his back on his king and joining with the other gentry in choosing parliament. The king's famed visit, where he is pleading his case, asking those he believes to be loyal to him for their support, still looms heavy over the old study. This old, grand house contains many memories within its walls, and possibly an intelligent spirit or two that tormented the family who lived here hundreds of years ago. No matter how many demon traps and protective markings they covered the walls with, it seems it was never enough to protect them from getting in, or worse still, getting out. So let's dive into this 16th century Welsh manor together this week.
All right. I'm excited. This is such a random little tidbit talking about residual hauntings. I had a thought the other day because I was in a gym. And when you go into a gym, do you automatically feel jazzed, like energy, you're buzzing?
You're assuming I go to gyms.
No, not like a lifting gym, like where basketball games and volleyball games are played.
Oh, sometimes,
like
yeah.
a court.
Yeah.
I find that interesting because I never put that
It's like
together.
a theater, you know?
Yeah.
You're going out there, you're exerting a lot.
There's so many emotions that are left right there. So when you walk in, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I've never thought about it.
I need to find someone that does like research into energies. I don't know. You know what I mean? Not to be weird, but I've been thinking about that a lot since the pod and talking about like residual hauntings because I never knew what that was before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, there are a lot of spaces where I feel like
you just have that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Llancaiach Fawr Manor definitely has that feeling.
All right. I'm excited.
Me too. Our tea today, sent in by one of you in Scotland, is Edinburgh Thistle tea.
I'm excited. And it was had like little like flowery things on the box, so I'm using my mug that has little flowery things.
Nice.
And there's a castle on it, so it felt right.
It's pretty. I have Nightmare Before Christmas. Just fit the vibe. I was wearing a
pumpkin sweater,
so.
All right, let's go.
Really good.
I'm actually a big fan.
This one also with the same, it was the same brand. They said to put a little milk in it.
Uh-huh.
So good.
Good with the milk?
Yeah.
I didn't put milk in it, but like.
Well, you don't like milky tea, yeah?
No. But I like this one. There's something about it.
This is really good.
There's like some aftertaste that I'm really into.
This has made it up to my top.
Yeah.
Or close to the top.
Yeah. Thank you so much. The person that sent it.
Shout out. Thank you.
From Scotland. Oh, I feel so cool.
I know. Today, this Tudor-style manor sits in Rhymney Valley in South Wales. It's a semi-fortified home, listed as a Grade 1 building for its historic significance, and considered to be one of the most important gentry houses to have survived the 16th century. The house that rests here today is thought to have been built upon an even older medieval structure, though some believe that the original tower house that was built on these grounds, i.e. the cellar and all the rooms above on the east end, was simply incorporated into the house as the family and owners of the manor built on over the years. So, either it was built where another castle, another manor had been, which happens a lot. I feel like they just build on the same foundations. Or the east end, like there's this like square of a part of the house on the east end, was just added on
built upon.
Yeah.
Okay.
The land itself has been occupied for more than 4,000 years, but it's thought the house was constructed in the early 1500s. The date isn't exact, as it was originally thought to predate the 1536 Acts of Union between Wales and England, but a great dwelling where the home sits today was written about in John Leland's itinerary of 1537 when he took a grand tour of Great Britain, surveying and documenting the lands as they stood at that time. In the section that wrote about the county in which the manor stands today, he said, quote, and this is 1500s English, so sorry. There is within half a mile of Caerphilly by est a fair place called Van, where Mr. Edward Lewis dwelleth. Other gentlemen of any fame be not in Alcingenet, saving David ap Richard, dwelling at Kelful Car in Llancaiach. Oh, God. Okay, sorry. Anyway, this David ap Richard is thought to be the first owner of Llancaiach Fawr Manor and the ancestor of the Pritchards, at which the manor has been known for. So ap Pritchard, just kind of.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting. But dendrochronology results from a piece of wood in the home place the date the timber was felled from a little later than this, sometime between 1548 and 65. This could be because only part of the original home still stands, and the place where they took the wood from was just like the add-on, but nobody knows really for sure. Regardless of the date it was built, we know that it was home to the Pritchard family for many years. It was built as a home, yes, but seems to have been built with defense in mind. The walls surrounding the home are 1.2 meters thick,
It's my
or
type of
4
house.
feet.
That's my type of house for real.
Huge.
I've told you, I want a stone house with no windows.
Well, this one has windows, but yes.
Exaggerating, but yes, I want a fortress.
And the only access between floors is via the stairs within these massive walls. So the stairs are within these walls. And so it's very protected. Like if they were to be shot with a cannon, they could still get up, to their floors.
Nice.
There was a lot of turmoil during this time, and it seems the Pritchards were setting themselves up for better defense if an attack ever came. In fact, the entire house could be divided into two. So if someone were to storm into the home attempting harm, the family could lock themselves away in the east wing, securing it so that nobody could enter. So the west wing and the east wing can be closed off from each other.
I'm very into this.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
There were many other manors built in this same period for the same purpose, protection and comfort. Though, as we'll talk about later, I don't think the family was worried only for earthly attacks.
Oh no.
In more peaceful times, the family seems to have expanded the home, making adjustments more for their comfort, like extending the home even further, replacing and sealing off the mural stairs with a grand staircase, and adding impressive details showcasing their wealth and status, like wood paneling and other, nice, luxurious things of the time. They were said to have descended from Welsh royalty and wielded great power and influence at the time this manor was built and beyond. But that definitely didn't mean they were beloved by all. There are documented court cases and other stories of the Pritchards fighting with and possibly even murdering members of other prominent families, and this could maybe explain why their home was so well fortified, or parts of the reason why their home was so well fortified, as well as their involvement in military action. So they were also, one of the most famous Pritchards was Colonel Edward Pritchard, most likely born in the home around 1610, and he was a military guy around the Civil War. So they kind of needed the protection.
Okay, it makes sense.
Sorry. We don't know much about Edward Pritchard's early life. He was married to a woman named Mary Mansell, probably sometime in the 1630s, and we know he had several children, though 2 of his sons died early. He was the sheriff of Glamorgan in 1638 and was one of the county commissioners for the administration of the Acts of Propagation, and was appointed the Justice of the Peace in 1640. So a lot of roles. Important roles. Many of his official duties were carried out in his home as well. He was a prominent figure in the Civil War, playing key roles in local battles, and at one point, having King Charles I himself come for a visit at Llancaiach Fawr Manor in 1645. Colonel Pritchard was a royalist, that is, until the second half of 1645. There was a rift between the king and parliament, and Charles had lost touch with what his subjects needed from him as a ruler, and so civil war broke out in 1642. Colonel Edward Pritchard supported the royalist cause at the time and was given yet another title, Commissioner of Array to the King. It was his responsibility to raise men and money for the king in Glamorganshire. As the war raged on, King Charles became desperate for support, and so he began his tour of South Wales in 1645. He made his way to the homes of the gentry, whom he believed he held support from. So on August 5th, 1645, he walked into Llancaiach Fawr Manor, greeted by Colonel Pritchard, no doubt thinking he could rally some support from the Welsh. Unfortunately for Charles I, Pritchard and most of the Welsh gentry had changed their minds and allegiance, now supporting Parliament. In doing so, Pritchard was appointed governor of Cardiff Castle and played a significant role in the continued battles for power over England. It is claimed that Pritchard's decision to back Parliament rather than the king haunted him for the rest of his life, as he continued his position as Justice of the Peace after the war, through to the death of his beloved wife in 1649 and on to his death in 1655. His regrets at choices made or not made may be one of the sources of the supernatural activity reported there today. Colonel Pritchard didn't have any surviving sons, so after his death, the home passed down to his 2 daughters. The land was gradually sold off, divided between family members, and sold as their piece of the inheritance. The property eventually leased out as farmland, running well, but no longer the great home of a powerful family. In 1731, the manor fell into the hands of the Evans family, who continued the use of the land as their family farm. The Evanses farmed the land quite successfully for 200 years, and then in 1931, it was bought by Edward Williams as his family home. Edward was also a farmer and raised his family in home until his death in 1970. The home was lived in by his surviving wife for 9 more years until it became too much for her to handle in her old age. That's when the home became the property of the Rhymney Valley District Council. The council restored the home, opening it up to the public as a museum, showcasing a great piece of history for the region. In the 1990s, it was converted into a living history museum with employees dressed in period clothing, the home set up as it would have been back in Colonel Pritchard's time, and all interacting and speaking with guests as if they had been thrust back into time, which I think is so fun.
Are you into that?
Yeah.
Like going to places where there's like actors dressed up and stuff?
Yeah. I'm a Ren Fair kind of gal. So,
Are you?
yeah, I like anything like that.
Okay, like
But especially like a historically accurate museum. Yeah, I would love that.
like if you go to like a haunted house and it's like, you're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, and I think we're talking about different things.
My voice, oh my god, I'm like
Still recovering?
Yes, but so that probably sounded so scary, but
It did.
it's like, you know, when you go to a haunted house and it's like the local college theater kids or something like that, and they're like
Performing.
yeah, they're putting on a scary performance,
Oh,
and
that's
it's kind
fun, but that's different than a living history museum.
of okay, yes, but like you're into that. You're into that.
I think that's fun, yeah.
You're into like the live acting.
Yeah, I think that's fun. Like
Okay.
if you walk in and the house is decorated as it would have been, and they are like people dressed as maids walking around like handling the washing.
And they like talk to you like they're those people.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
I think
it's
it's
fun. Maybe that's lame of me.
No. A lot
Okay.
of people are into that. I'm not, like, I guess I'm too awkward. Like, I don't know how to interact with people in that scenario.
Oh, I wouldn't do it,
But no, I
but
wouldn't.
I love to observe.
No, I don't know how to, like, talk. If they talk to me, I don't know if I should, like, I know I'm supposed to play along, but I'm like, you don't have to do that with me. But, like,
Come
that's
on,
not
Sarah.
cool. That's not cool to do that. So I just don't partake in those things because it makes me very uncomfortable. I don't know how to interact with them if they're not just being people of this time.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I do. I get it.
just, I don't know.
I get it.
Maybe I'm just not fun, or just too awkward. But
Or not as lame as me. That's
no,
fine.
I think it's more fun to play along, but I just don't know how.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
we can go find one together, and I can force you into your nightmare.
No.
The museum was unfortunately shut down in December of last year, so 2024, due to budgetary issues by the Caerphilly Council, who were keeping it open to the public. So they were kind of in charge of running it and fixing it up,
Mm-hmm.
giving it a new roof when it needed
Yeah.
it and all that kind of stuff. But it seems it may have been sold recently, though details on the new operator aren't yet available. So I was looking, and literally there was an article from like August 15th that was like, it's been sold and we'll tell you later, basically.
Aw. I
So-
hope it's someone that's gonna
I'm
do
ass-
it justice.
I'm assuming it is. I'm assuming that because there was a lot of in one of the like meetings, the county meetings that they had, like like they all gathered like
Yeah.
people of the community. They were mad. They
that
were
they
like
sold it.
they were shutting it down.
Oh.
And they were like, this is a piece of history and this is not okay.
Yeah.
Like you need to get it together. You need to budget better. You're in charge of handling our funds and you need to get it together. And they were like yelling and fighting and stuff. So
I don't disagree.
no, I don't either. So I'm assuming that they're taking care of it and sending it off to somebody who will continue running it
Okay.
on
good.
their own dime, I guess.
I hope so.
So my hope is that they keep it open as it was for the world to enjoy, because not only would the county lose a jewel for history, but also the ghostly investigations would need to continue.
Yeah. I don't know anything yet, but I'm ready.
Here's the sections titled Hauntings.
Woo!
It is well known for its hauntings, open years prior for ghost tours and investigations. Plenty of people have visited, having their own encounters within the old structure. Though we don't necessarily have any accounts of ghostly activity from the people who lived in the home centuries ago, we do know that some of the Williams family experienced the supernatural while living here. And the manor is absolutely covered in sigils, carvings, and burn marks that are believed to have been made for protection. Though there are some who believe a curse was placed on the home by a witch long ago.
They always do. There's
do.
always the two sides.
Many visitors to the home, even those not there to experience the paranormal, rather are simply there to see the history and enjoy the past, have had some seriously frightening encounters. I've read stories of people running from the home, crying, swearing never to return because of what they've seen inside. The full body apparitions, the feelings of touch on their body when nobody is there, doors bursting open for absolutely no reason, the strange smells, and on several occasions, witnessing scenes that seem to have happened long ago. One of the most haunted rooms in the manor is known as Maddie's room. It is believed to have been the place where a housekeeper from the late 18th or 19th century lived her final moments before succumbing to her injuries. It's said a fire was started in the kitchen, and Maddie tragically was burned in the accident. She was taken up to the bedroom to tend to her wounds, but she didn't make it very long.
Aww.
A few days later, she passed while lying in bed and in that very room, and it seems she may have never left the home. Maddie is seen and felt often throughout the home, but it seems her spirit may be concentrated in this room. Men who enter the room might feel a sense of unease or discomfort, mostly men, especially the first time they are visiting. It's as if Maddie is unsure about the men until she has the opportunity to kind of like suss them out, you know? Once a South African under-21 rugby team came for a tour while in Wales for a game, and they seem to have experienced Maddie firsthand. They walked into her room, and the captain, a very tall, very tough-looking man, he's like 6'8", like
Oh my God.
big dude, almost immediately burst into tears with absolutely no explanation. He walked in, tears, crying.
Oh,
Had no clue why.
okay.
He just had a sudden and overwhelming flood of sadness and heartbreak rush over him. And as soon as he left the room, he felt completely fine and wasn't sure why that had happened.
That is interesting. How old was she?
I don't know.
Was she like a child or
No,
a young adult?
she was a housekeeper. So
Oh, okay. So young adult, probably.
young adult, probably. I mean, I'm sure there were like teenage housekeepers, but
Yeah.
she was somewhere around there.
Okay.
Others have reported feeling an intense feeling of grief or sadness when they enter the room. Not just this rugby guy. What she is most known for is the sound of a rustling dress brushing up against furniture and rushing around the home, still tending to the needs of the manor. She doesn't like disorder or mess, especially in her room. If something is put out of place, then you'll often have some kind of interaction with Maddie. So like I've seen investigations where there's like a chest and they move it and like tilt it out of way, and then activity like their REM pods start going off crazy and like all this stuff starts happening.
Put it back.
Yeah.
Valid. Very valid.
Same, like don't come mess up my room.
No.
The master bedroom on the second floor is particularly haunted as well. Figures like people who have lived in the home or even soldiers who worked with Colonel Pritchard have been seen passing into the doorway before disappearing entirely. There's also a small baby's cradle in that room that has been seen on many occasions rocking back and forth on its own. And it's not just a subtle rock. It's intense and fast rocking, as if something with great force is capable of moving the object. There were children that have passed in the home, so it could be maybe their mother or father still attempting to comfort them in the afterlife.
Aww.
A lot of the figures seen are like shadowy figures. It's like shadow figures and dark, like shadows of people passing through. And it's very, very interesting.
That's eerie.
Speaking of children, there have been many spirits of young children seen roaming around Llancaiach Fawr. There is a particular spirit, a young boy, who is thought to have met a tragic end falling out of a window in the early 1900s.
Oh no.
Visitors have heard the sounds of children running through the halls and down the stairs, laughing and playing when nobody else is around. People have reported feeling a tug at their clothes or their hair as if from a small child, as well as a small, cold, disembodied hand reach for their own while on tour, as if leading them off to play. Many of the more playful experiences, like the sounds of laughter, blowing raspberries, are thought to be brought on by the young boy.
That just hurt me.
Isn't that like...
I really don't like that. That's so sad. Him grabbing the hand.
Like a lot of people have experienced like a sudden
no.
feeling like someone's hand is in theirs.
That's horrible.
One night, late after a staff meeting, everyone was gathering their things and getting ready to go home when 3 employees could hear the sounds of children playing only 15 feet away. They all looked at each other in shock because the building was locked up. There shouldn't have been anyone in the building. Of course, this was nothing new to the employees, as many of them heard children playing downstairs on several occasions. It was like normal.
Okay, but I could never be comfortable with something like that.
It would never be normal.
No.
Like it would never be like, oh, that's just the little kid again.
No, not at all.
So what's set up as the armory now, but may have been used as some kind of study before, is one room that has had many encounters reported and holds a particularly masculine energy. There have been soldiers dressed in English Civil War attire walking through the room, and it doesn't seem like the soldier likes women very much. 2 women have been physically attacked while on tours in the armory. One was standing by the wall, listening to her tour guide tell stories from the home when she felt an invisible hand reach around her throat and push her against the wall. She began crying hysterically after freeing herself and had to be escorted back down from the to the front visitor center for a glass of mead to calm down before she could tell the story. She was just freaked.
They would have to escort me to the hospital.
Up against the wall, like shoved up. That's
Also-
horrifying. Horrifying. That's like one of the scariest things I've ever heard.
I don't like it at all.
Another woman was sitting in a chair doing the same as the first, simply listening to her guide when the scarf she had wrapped around her neck began to tighten. She loosened it at first, thinking maybe she was just now noticing it was a bit too tight. But as soon as she put her hands back down, it tightened up again, this time with more force. She ripped the scarf from her neck and stood. Just like the other woman, she left the room, vowing never to return to that spot.
What's his deal?
I don't know.
We don't know. He just doesn't like women.
Doesn't like women. Doesn't
and
want
wants to
women in there.
choke them and hurt them?
1 minute, and we can
Okay.
connect it back.
Okay.
There was another incident involving a woman who brought her 2 daughters to the manor many years ago. One of the girls wouldn't go into the room and seemed very frightened. She claimed to have seen 2 men fighting and shouting at each other in the room, dressed in an old style of clothing. She refused to go into the room, bursting into tears at the mere thought of the interaction. She claimed one of the men had the other by the throat, and it was getting very intense. The same girl came back a few months later, peeking around the corner of the room and breathing a sigh of relief, claiming the men weren't there this time, so she could go in.
But why only to women? If it was
I
2
don't
men
know.
fighting. I'm not a fan of this guy, whoever
Oh,
he may be.
definitely not, no. There is also a man in black seen all throughout the manor, but has been particularly noted in the armory. He is a menacing spirit, seen by many, and is not very kind, like many of the other spirits in the armory. One woman was at the home for a visit when she came down to the visitor center looking very flustered. She told the person at the desk that she understood that all the employees inside were playing a role and were just trying to do their jobs, but she did not appreciate being screamed at like she had been in the armory. She explained that she went in to look at all of the things that they had on display there, but a man in the corner wearing all black began yelling at her to get out and that she didn't belong there. The person working the desk knew no one was scheduled to be in that room at the time, so he walked up to the woman into the house to find out who was talking like that. They made their way up the stairs, and as the woman turned the corner into the room, she saw him still standing there. But before the worker could come in, he turned around, looked at her, shouted at her once more, and then completely disappeared right before her eyes.
Did the worker hear the shout? Or
I don't know.
oh my
It
gosh.
didn't say, but
Ew. Ew, ew, ew.
could you imagine? You're like coming down like, hey, I know you're doing your job, but can you tell your employees not to scream at me? And then you see the person, they just disappear.
Although, like, the people that work there are probably, like, oh, you know, this happens all the time. It's haunted, blah, blah, blah. I would feel so crazy. I'd be like, I
Yeah.
swear it happened.
No, they believe you. Another notable story in the armory happened to a caretaker named Wayne. He often worked at the home after it closed, making sure everything was running properly, tidying up when he had to, and working on projects for the manor. He was downstairs one evening when he heard something hit the ground and roll down the stairs right in front of him. It was a keg of powder that they have on display in the armory. He didn't think much of it. In fact, the little kegs fall off their display often, are just knocked off. They shouldn't fall off, but they're knocked off often. So he kind of threw it to the side, telling himself that he'd get to it on his way up after he finished whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
The strange thing is, when he threw it, he never heard it hit the ground. He was expecting to hear a thud, but the house was silent. So he stood up and looked into the direction it was thrown. At that very moment, the keg was thrown right back at him, hurtling through the air as if it was thrown by somebody else. He caught it, called out thinking someone was there with him, but he was alone, just as he thought he'd been. This wasn't unusual for Wayne, as apparently he's actually had a lot of stuff thrown at him.
Aw, poor Wayne.
I know. Maybe they like to play with him or something, I don't know.
No, that feels like, hey, why'd you throw this at me? I'm standing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, all the people that work at places like this, good for you. I couldn't do it.
Yeah?
I could not do it. No.
Not at night.
No.
Not at night, especially not. Colonel Pritchard has actually been seen in his home many years after his passing. It's said that in the Great Hall, sounds of a bustling court and business being done still occur. Colonel Pritchard is still working away in his great home, possibly even still contemplating the decision he made to turn his back on his king during the Civil War. He has been seen, a tall, dark shadow figure, looking out the window and on to his gardens, deep in thought. He's also been seen dressed in his Civil War attire, walking through the room before vanishing altogether. Many people have heard the thud of footsteps from up in the Great Hall when the room is supposed to be completely empty. In the kitchen, right below the Great Hall, there have been many spirits and strange things uncovered. The smell of lavender, violets, and occasionally roast beef are smelled wafting from the kitchen from time to time, as if the spirits of the manor are still preparing dinner for its inhabitants. There have been plenty of spirits seen in this room to go along with those smells.
So just meat and flowers?
Yeah. Just
Oh.
like herbs and flowers and, yeah, roast beef, like they're cooking dinner.
Not a fan.
Interesting.
Not a fan, actually.
Interesting. While the Williams family was living in the home years ago, Ed Williams had a guest over for the night. So I think the son was also named Ed because he went on to work at the manor. He was staying near the kitchens and he woke up very suddenly in the middle of the night. As he looked up to see if there was something nearby that had woken him, he saw a shadow figure standing in the kitchen. It looked like a woman, but he couldn't make out any defining features. She promptly turned and walked through the room, walking into the fireplace and through the wall. Some people believe it may have been Maddie, just like, tending to the house.
Okay, so far, my thoughts. I'm a fan of Maddie. I'm sad for her. Not a fan of anything in the armory area.
No.
Would never want to be around there.
Yeah.
Kitchen?
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, there's another apparition of a girl in a black cloak seen gliding through the shadows of the old kitchen, and some believe she may be connected somehow to the witch's curse on the manor. Now, we don't know for sure that the manor has been cursed, obviously. It's actually more likely some kind of protection was put on the manor, but some of her things have been found in the fireplace within this room.
What?
Small pouches containing a hare's foot, 2 big clumps of human hair, a bone, a piece of scarlet cloth, and a twisted piece of paper with something written on it were tucked away into the crevices of the fireplace, as well as many symbols and signs carved into the stone that are thought to ward off evil. So when it was first found, they were thought like maybe this was a curse.
Yeah.
But now with fresh eyes.
That's protection.
From this time. Yeah. It was found in the 80s. And so, yeah, they're thinking maybe it was protection.
When
and
was
I read in somewhere that like the paper had like parts of the Lord's Prayer or something written on it, but I can't confirm that.
When was like the satanic panic where everybody was like, oh,
around the 80s.
Around there? Yeah, that's what I thought. So
80s,
anything
90s.
that was found that was unknown, they're like, it's the devil, it's horrible, ah. So that makes sense.
But it was likely a protection spell.
Interesting. Like a real rabbit's foot, though?
I mean, you've seen people have rabbit's foot for good luck.
I have, and it scares me.
It's-
It doesn't scare me. Okay,
Makes
it
me
doesn't
sad.
scare me. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
So, like, oh.
But hare's foot for good luck, protection.
What became of the hair, Like,
Maybe it was eaten for dinner. Because a lot of people
still
ate.
kind of sad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Definitely sad. So these markings, they're not only found in the kitchen, but literally everywhere in the manor. Everywhere.
Ooh.
Scratch marks called demon traps are on the doors and chimneys in an attempt to keep demons from being able to enter through the openings to the home. So demon traps, they're kind of like netting.
Oh, they look like just like cross.
Yeah, like tic-tac-toe, but like expanded, like
Yeah.
bigger tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
And it's thought that it's like a net. Like
To catch them.
They get caught in the demon trap and they can't get out. They have to like make their way out so they can't get through the door.
Okay.
Very interesting.
That is cool. Do we think? Okay, actually, hold on. I'll wait.
Okay,
Keep talking.
Double V's and 5-pointed stars and fire marks are carved and burned into the stone and wood all through the castle, particularly by openings like windows and chimneys. These apotropaic marks are found everywhere, literally hundreds of them all throughout the home, and are thought to have been made during a time of great superstition and deep faith. When you are building a home so well fortified that your walls are 4 feet thick, it would make sense that you'd attempt to fortify your home in any way you could spiritually as well, from witches, demons, and fae.
Yes, I was gonna say, like, do you think someone living in the home practiced this, or do you think they had someone come in and say, hey, protect our home?
I don't know.
Because this is really
Well,
interesting.
okay, so there was a star, like a 5-pointed star, believed to have been commissioned by the masons who like made the stone fence around the property.
Yeah.
So I think that whoever was building the manor was doing it on purpose.
You know what's...
And the burn marks are like candles. So like you hold a candle up to the wood and it burns. Apparently that's for protection. They're deep too. Sorry.
Okay, that's really cool. This probably has no connection whatsoever, but I'm not a handyman. I don't know what house things are made for.
Yeah.
It's interesting that screens on windows are in that pattern, So maybe your windows like
have demon traps?
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Because I mean, it's that
That same cross
pattern.
pattern. Yeah. I never thought about that.
I mean, me neither.
Put
I didn't
screens
know.
on your windows, guys. So what's interesting about the 5-pointed star is they don't know when they found it when they were doing renovations.
Mhm.
And they don't know if it was pointing in or out.
Oh.
And depending on which way it was pointing, were they keeping something out or were they keeping something in?
Oh.
And that's something we don't know.
How do they not know?
Because the people who
They
were doing
moved
it, they
it?
were like, hey, look what we found. And they're like, oh, where'd you find that? How was it placed? They were like, I don't know. It was just over there.
Oh, that would
It's
drive
on
me
display.
insane. That would
You
drive
can
me
see it.
insane.
Up in the attic, which used to be the servants' quarters, or what they think was the servants' quarters, there was a beam found with over 130 marks all concentrated in one area. And I heard someone say that, like, someone who studies these apotropaic marks and things like that was like, I've never seen something like this, so concentrated, so intense, just all on one spot. And there used to be more, so they were all in the attic, but they've done renovations, like fixing up the beams and the plaster and the walls and stuff. So a lot of them have been removed, but you can still see some of them when you walk in today.
What was going on in there?
What's even more interesting, candles at the time were very expensive, and to get marks like the ones seen in this manor would have taken so much time and wax. So it was like purposefully done. Like they were standing there wasting wax and money
For a long time. Mm-hmm.
For protection. What's even more eerie about the attic is that it was actually sealed up. It was hidden away until renovations were done and they found the staircase and door that led to the top of the manor.
Who sealed it? Do we know?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions.
The beam and door frame were absolutely covered in protective symbols, and many people speculate it could have been done to keep something locked away in the attic and not allow this darkness to escape down into the rest of the home. With the volume of marks, it's believed that it had to have been a great evil trapped in that room. Many people have sensed negativity while up in the attic, and several shadow figures have been seen disappearing into the attic on multiple occasions. We can only hope that those markings and rituals done all those years ago are still capable of sealing the darkness away.
Well, not anymore because they broke it all open.
Not all of it. There's still a bunch in there.
Let people in.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There are nearly an unlimited number of stories from visitors and people who have lived and worked at the manor for years. Footsteps, voices, sounds of activity in rooms that are totally empty. One woman even somehow had all of the buttons on her brand new coat completely removed by the end of her tour. Went in with a brand new coat first time she wore it, came out, no buttons.
Well, don't bring buttons in the manor.
Why? So I thought I would end this episode with these experiences. We can only hope that the manor opens to the public again soon and the experiences and stories can continue. But here they are.
Every place we've talked about, I want to go.
When we first started this endeavor, you were like, no, never. I'm not going to any of these places.
And now you've all convinced me. And I think I would go.
It would be fun. Again, during the day, we're not going to like Zach Baggins it and like,
no,
come at me, bro, demon.
No. Bro, demon?
Bro, demon.
No, we are going to go and say, hey, respectfully, I'm just checking it out.
Just taking a look.
Please don't come home with me. I'm just going to look. Okay, love you, bye. Like, it's not going to be antagonistic at all.
No. Okay, so this is a story from a former employee from the 90s. So it opened in the 90s, I think.
Okay.
One person who worked at the home in the 90s was locking up after a long evening of ghost tours. He walked through the home, making sure all customers had left and all of the doors were locked. He concluded the home was empty and was just shutting off the lights for the night when he remembered he needed to move Thomas, the manor cat, into the parlor. It was dark, but they'd walked this place so many times that they could easily make their way through with a small flashlight. So they found the cat, carried him to the parlor, but just as they placed the cat back onto the ground, they heard a small sound. They were sure it sounded like someone had blown a raspberry right into their ear. You know that sound.
Yeah, I don't like it.
He knew he was alone, so he ran at full speed out of the home and back home for the night, not looking back. But this isn't the only encounter that he and his fellow employees had experienced while working there. They've all heard disembodied footsteps, crying, laughing, and even chanting coming from within the home, which is horrifying.
I can't do chanting. We talked about it like a couple episodes ago.
You know, at least the raspberry's thought to be the kid. Like the kid's just like playing a prank on him.
I would hope so. Also, the manor cat.
I know, Thomas.
Oh.
One of the darkest experiences they could remember, the only time they ever felt worried was when Thomas's fur stood completely on end as he looked and hissed behind the worker. They knew something wasn't right if the cat was distressed, so they and Thomas ran back to the front door to leave for the night. They were not sticking around. They didn't even turn around. Thomas ran. They both ran together.
Oh, okay.
There was one more eerie experience that he could recall. Once again, they were all alone, this time in the visitor center, waiting for people working the evening shift to arrive. So it was kind of between shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, they could hear what sounded like pots and pans banging together in the locked kitchen. So they ran over and unlocked the door, rushing in to figure out who it could have been making such a racket. But when they stepped into the room, the noise had stopped and nobody was there. They turned around to leave, thinking they may have just been hearing things, when the noise started up again. They raced back inside, but once again the noise had ceased. It happened several times that day before they decided to just let the spirits do as they pleased.
After the first time and not seeing anything, I'm gone. I'm not checking.
They were walking out and could hear it again. They turned back around to go in. Nothing.
No. If I'm walking out, I'm out. I don't need to investigate.
Louise Griffin, who led ghost tours at the manor, had one particularly terrifying experience while working late one night with a group of investigators. Quote, "We heard the loud footsteps and then a few people screamed. So I started to talk more quietly so we could hear anything else that was going on, and then heard a noise that I've never heard before. The windows of the house don't open. The doors are super thick and heavy, but suddenly we heard that archetypal ghost story noise of a door slowly creaking open. So I screamed myself, and everyone ran across the room, including me, away from the noise. Then two things came together, and honestly, I've never been as scared in my life. The door creaked again, and then heavy footsteps were coming toward us down the corridor. I was absolutely convinced that something was going to walk through the door. The sounds were so real. It was then total pandemonium. That was the most scared I've ever been in the house because it was so real." Could you imagine your ghost tour guide, screaming and being scared too?
No, I could not. We've been on several ghost tours, and our tour guide is always really super chill. And like, if something were to happen, I get the vibe that they'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
Like,
you know?
Kayla.
Yeah, they would, because they like it. They're familiar with the ghosts and things. If that happened, no, there's no way.
So scary.
No, I wouldn't recover.
I'm freaked.
That would be my last tour. Ever.
Yeah. As a worker?
And an enjoyer of tours.
Okay, so as I said before, Ed Williams called the manor home from 1950 to 1985. He grew up in the home and he has had his fair share of experiences in that home. He heard the footsteps and the voices regularly. Quote, "I regularly heard 4 distinct and loud footsteps above me when watching TV in the living room. If I had to guess, I would say male. There was never any rhyme or reason to when the footsteps happened, but there were always 4 of them. I never went to look for them. As far as I was concerned, as long as they didn't bother me, I didn't bother them."
Good philosophy.
When I was a teenager, and on reflection, it wasn't the cleverest of things to do in this house, I decided to produce a Ouija board.
No, I knew it was going to come eventually.
We put the letters out, we put the glass on the center. There were 3 of us, and we all put our fingers on the glass and said, "Is there anyone there?" And the glass shot across the room and smashed into the fireplace. The spirit was probably like, "I've done all this protection on this home, and you're going to open up a doorway for them to enter here?"
Yeah, no, not smart.
Within 20 seconds, we had put it all away and never attempted that again. After the visitors had gone, I was taking my friend on a tour around the manor, and the front door, which is very heavy with a heavy latch, was closed. When we were on the first floor, both of us heard the door open. When we came straight down, there was no one there. He went on to work at the home when it was turned into a museum in the 90s, and that's when he is said to have had his spookiest encounter. Quote, "It was a summer evening. It wasn't dark, and there was a function in the manor. I was helping to bring dishes back to the visitor center. As I was walking down the garden, a figure, I would definitely say Victorian, with a stovepipe hat and a black cloak, ran very quickly past me. He was as plain as day to me. The other staff members saw me being visibly shaken by that visitation as it occurred on a bright day. There was a rumor that circulated afterward that I ran after him. I can assure you I didn't."
Good. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
Plenty of EVPs, personal accounts of sounds being heard and touches being felt, and even photos have been documented at Llancaiach Fawr Manor. By all accounts, it is an incredibly haunted piece of history. And one can only hope that all of those carvings, all of those burn marks, all of those protective symbols will be able to keep the darkness dormant.
I sure hope so.
Me too.
I sure hope so, because I am leaving this feeling incomplete.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Things might be fine. The question is what scares me. The question, like, were they keeping it out or were they keeping it in? That's what scares me the most.
I guess we'll never know. I don't know. My guess is as good as yours.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this I need to go. I need to see it for myself.
I know. We need like Ghosties World
Tour.
Tour.
Oh my god, I wish.
Maybe one day. Between this and the castle episode we did for
Yeah.
Patreon, I'm like very much in a like 15th, 16th century mood.
A castle mood. Yeah, I know. Same.
But it was a lot of fun to research. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait till you see pictures. It's very cool looking. I was going to look into the stone tape theory for this because, I mean, it's made of stone. A lot of stone.
Yeah.
Thick, 4 feet stone.
Very cool.
Because it's said that, and we've kind of talked about this, that it traps in energy.
Yeah.
You know? And like a lot of the like residual things, like it could just be times of great emotion
Mhm.
just stuck there in time, you know?
That's true.
And I find it very interesting. And I think that, personally, that may be the reason why there's just so much, like such a concentration of activity. But I do wonder, because there were so many markings, I wonder if that was just normal for the time.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of examples of fortified homes like this.
That is true.
There are a few, so I don't know how they compare. Is that just normal for the times, or was there something going on here? You know, I'm inclined to believe there was something going on with the amount. There's just so many.
It's just the amount that gets me. If they just found one little area where, like, in the servants' quarters, it was like that, okay, maybe one of them was very spiritual and did all that stuff. But for it to be all over the house.
Oh, I watched videos of people touring and like doing investigations, and the guide was like, oh, and here, and here, and here. Oh, and look, there's one there. And then we found this one just the other day here.
Yeah.
Everywhere. On the walls, on the beams, on the stone.
Something's going on.
Yeah, it's wild.
I
So
don't
let us know what you think about Llancaiach Fawr Manor. And let me know if I butchered that word or those words.
I'm
Because
sure they will.
I tried. I looked it up. I listened to Welsh people say it. I did my best. Thank you.
I think you did good. But if you didn't, we will hear about it.
We will. And I'm fine with that. That's totally fine. Everyone knows. If you've been here long enough, you know that pronunciation.
Your best shot.
I give it the old college try. And
Yep.
I'm just not good at it. Anyway, like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends if you feel
Oh my god.
Anyway, like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so. And subscribe for more. We've got another episode coming on Thursday. Very special episode. Very exciting episode that we can't wait for you to see.
I think y'all are gonna flip.
You need to return on Thursday is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So do not forget. Put it in your calendars.
Come
Thursday
back on
morning.
Thursday.
Very excited. If you're on audio, please leave us 5 stars. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to, you can keep up with us on Instagram at Ghosties Pod. We post there occasionally. Like list our teas that we're drinking so you can drink with us, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Anyway, that's all we've got for you today, and we will see you on Thursday. Goodbye.